I told you I'd be wearing the same shirt. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to the episode of Packcast, the podcast where you're not to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I am your host, Tom Grossi, and today we are going to answer a question that is on the minds of millions and millions. Will the Green Bay Packers have a top 10 defense this year? So when it's 3rd and 25 and the opposing team is dropping back to throw, are we going to see a lot of this? Or are we going to see a lot of this? Hopefully the first one. So let's break it down, because the way that we're going to take a look at this is we're going to take a look at the previous rankings of the Green Bay Packers defense, if you want to call it a defense and not just a collection of bodies that are just there to look pretty and pretend to stand in the way of the opponent. And then we'll take a look at some of the improvements that the team has made, obviously during the offseason. We'll talk about Mike Pettine going from year 1 to year 2 and how he has built on and improved Dom Capers' former defense, etc. So let's go back. So I had to go back and look because I got very, very curious at how many times did Aaron Rodgers have a top 10 defense during his entire time as a starter. And the answer to that question is 2. The first time was when they went to the wild card in 2009 against the Arizona Cardinals. You know, there was that face mask at the end of it, and it didn't get called, and oh, God. Yeah. Good times had by all. And so, breaking this down, the yards per game, the Packers were 2nd in the league, and points per game, they were 7th in the league in 2009. And then it was the following year when they won the Super Bowl, in which yards per game, they were 5th in the league, and points per game, they were 2nd in the league, 2nd lowest, of course. And so this is the only time that they have had a top 10 defense. And so just to kind of take a look at the past couple of let's you know what, screw it. Let's go back to the beginning of Rodgers' career. So in 2008, they were 20th in yards per game and 22nd in points per game. We just talked about the other 2 years. In 2011, you know, the 15-1 season, they were 32nd in yards, 19th in points per game. 2012, they were better. They were close. They were 11th and 11th. And so they were near a top 10 defense. And then 2013, they decided to crap the bed again and go 25th and 24th. 15th and 13th in 2014, which they went to the NFC Championship game. 2015, they were 15th and 12th, so again, not too bad. 2016, they were 22nd, 21st. 2017, 22nd and 26th. And then last year, 18th in yards and 22nd in points. So let's look at a number of things here. 1, Rodgers has only had the benefit of having a top 10 defense twice in his entire career, which is a major talking point. No freaking media ever talks about when they're comparing Aaron Rodgers to, like, a Tom Brady, because go back and look at those Patriots defenses since 2008, and I can guarantee you there are a lot more in the top 10 than 2. That's the first part. But the second part is how difficult it is to actually get a top 10 defense. That kind of characterization has been thrown around more and more as Mike Pettine has come in. It's like, is this a year we have a top 10 defense? Is this a year we have a top 10 defense? It's difficult. So much so that we haven't seen one in over a decade. And so what I want to take a look at, and why there's potential that the Packers will have a top 10 defense, is already the improvements that have been made under Mike Pettine. So for example, from 2017 to 2018, so that transition from Dom Capers to Pettine, in yards per game, we went from 22nd to 18th. Not a ton of movement, but it's positive. And then we went from 26th to 22nd. And again, the secondary was a mess. It was Pettine's first year. We had a lot of leftovers from the Dom Capers era. And so these are all positive movements. If you take a look at some other categories from 2017 to 2018, we went from 17th in sacks to 8th in sacks. So that's fantastic. From interceptions, we went from 20th to 29th. So we had 4 less interceptions last year. And then from 2017 to 2018 in our forced fumbles, we went from 28th to 24th. So again, not a ton of movement here. The biggest movement that we did was in sacks. Now, I am very happy that they brought Mike Pettine back, considering that this will be his second year. He'll really be able to develop some of these young guys. Jair Alexander was a standout last year. Hopefully Josh Jackson can improve, and considering he played, like 8 games in his college career. And so there's a lot to be excited about. On top of that, we also have the free agency that we went and got Zadarius Smith. We got Preston Smith. We obviously got Amos from the Bears. And so the secondary is a little bit more secure now. It's not perfect, but it's at least a little bit more secure. But again, we're also building up that line. I know we got rid of Mike Daniels, but we have a lot of stock in Montrevious Adams, and there's lots of talk of him coming out of camp that he is the most improved player from last year to this year. And so you take a look at the Smiths, and that they had more pressures on quarterbacks combined last year than the entire Packers defense. So there's a lot to be excited about, that we're going to bully opposing quarterbacks and that we will get pressure on them. And again, if you have an actual pass rush, right, which we had a decent one last year, that takes a lot of pressure off of our secondary and allows them to shine. And so, that being said, for me, all signs are pointing to at least being in the top 15. I don't think that that is going to be too much of a step up, considering we went up to 18th and 22nd, going up 3 spots in yards and going up 7 spots in points. I think we can do it, considering I think this is some of the most talented players we've had on that side of the ball in a long, long time, potentially even since 2010. And so with all that in mind, I think you just need to temper the expectations a little bit. I don't know if we're going to be a top 10 defense. There are a lot of good defenses out there, right? So there's the Rams, there's you also have the Bears. I mean, the Vikings are even good. There are a bunch of teams, too, with even our own division, that are potential top 10 defenses. And so I think everything coming out of camp, that the defense is doing much better than the offense, which creates a lot of anxiety for me because of a stagnant offense, but also gives me a lot of hope because our defense could be really, really good. I think that it is within expectations for this team to be or this defense to be a top 15 defense. Top 10, I'm not ready to kind of put my stamp on it yet, but all signs are pointing upward. I do not see this defense regressing. I think I just see them getting even better. It's a young defense, and so for me, I mean, obviously it's a new head coach, it's a new a lot of things, but with Pettine back there for his second year, for all the talent that we got there, I think this defense is going to be pretty damn good. And again, the bare minimum that I want is just don't lose us games. As Packer fans, I think I can speak for everyone when saying I just don't want to see any more games go into overtime and we lose it on the first drive because they drive down the field in 3 plays and get a touchdown. So I think definitely top 15, potentially top 10, but all signs are pointing up for the Packers defense. And for that, I am very excited. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Why do you think the Packers will be a top 10 defense? Do you think they will at all, or won't they be, etc.? Let me know. You can always check me out at TomGrossiComedy.com or at Tom Grossi on all the social media you see down below. Check out Podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, and of course, YouTube and the Spotify. Check out Patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy to support me and get some cool rewards and stuff as we keep on slinging this stuff, the content for you. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.